All right, welcome to the first episode of our podcast, Non Sequitur Nerd. I'm introducing myself for the first time. I'm Tim, and with me.
Hi, everybody. I am Ian.
All right, well, this is something we've kind of been working on for a little while. Kind of been batting this idea back and forth. We decided to finally go ahead, take the plunge, and show the world how opinionated we are, I guess, for lack of a better description.
And just as an FYI, we are very opinionated.
Yeah, that we are. So, all right, Ian, I guess we should probably start off telling people a little bit about ourselves. You want to go ahead?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Ian. I'm 34 years old. I like long walks on the beach, nice martini, and, just enjoying life. In all reality, I'm 34, single dad. Tim and I have known each other for, I was in the 7th grade, Tim was in the 8th grade, so I believe that is since I was about 13, so
Oh my God.
quite a few years at this point.
I've known that we've known each other for a while, but when you actually express it like that, Jesus, it has been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, no joke. So, who are you?
Uh, Dumbfounded because we use math right off the bat. That's who I am. No, Tim, 35, so I'm just a year older than Ian, and he makes that point known every time I complain about something relating to age. Obviously, a bit of a nerd. I mean, if you haven't seen the title yet. Yeah. Single-ish, married-ish dad. That's another story we'll get into on another day. Yeah, just kind of... I'm chill and high-strung at the same time, as has been described to me before.
Yes, that would be the eternal Tim.
Yep.
Not the most chillaxed, high-strung sumbitch that I've ever met.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
All right, folks, we've got introductions out of the way. You'll hear more from us as we continue on with this podcast. But moving forward, why don't we go ahead and start off with one of our first topics? So,
What do we got?
it is December the 5th right now, almost at the end of a hellaciously awful 2020.
Oh, God. That doesn't even begin to describe it, dude.
Yeah, well... we've all had our fair share of this. I'm sure that if Billy Joel isn't getting into any more car accidents, he'll probably write another song about this century and how terrible it is.
Oh, dude.
So, as I kind of looked through my news feed and emails earlier, something jumped out to me.
What do you got?
And I'm sure you're aware of this travesty that's about to hit the interwebs. That is the Monster Hunter World movie.
See, okay. I'm torn on it. I haven't seen any new news on it yet, so you're going to have to fill me in on what you saw, but, I love the Monster Hunter games. I've never beaten a single one, but I enjoy them for what they are. And I know video game movies in general have a stigma about them. I mean, there's no arguing that. But I want to see it, but I'm going into it with almost no expectation of it being good at all. But I still want to see it. But all right, so what news do you have on it? Break me, please.
So the headline that I'm looking at right now is an article from our friends over at Kotaku. Monster Hunter World review bombed on Steam as backlash to movie grows in China. So I'll give you a little synopsis here. Apparently, there was a clip tweeted from the movie that has what could be perceived as a racist joke. You guys can go out and look for it on Twitter yourselves. I won't share the joke here.
All right.
But so, unfortunately, and who produced the game? Was it Square Enix? No, Capcom. Capcom. Sorry, my bad. There goes some of my nerd cred, which I'm sure I will get back and lose as we continue this podcast.
Oh yeah. We're keeping tally.
Yes. Unfortunately, Comcast. Capcom
You're going down.
Yeah, I'm really going down. Unfortunately, Capcom is the ones that are suffering right now, as over 2,000 negative reviews of the game Monster Hunter World have been posted on Steam by Chinese people of Chinese origin due to this racist comment or joke, air quotes, joke that was made in the movie. So, it kind of makes me think that Capcom and the game itself are being unfairly targeted. I don't necessarily know that they have a whole lot of control over some of this, although
Right.
albeit they probably have some. But if they just license the material, then they probably aren't really involved that much.
Well, see, I mean, that's one of those things of if it's a racist joke, which is sounding like it is, should never have been in there to begin with. I mean, there's no debating that. They shouldn't have put that in the movie at all. But at the same time, apart from name, that game, like the movie's not based off of that one particular game. It's based off of Monster Hunters in general. While it's great that people are making their voices heard, that they're unhappy with that, and rightfully so, they're review bombing the game that content was never in to begin with.
Yeah,
I mean, is that, am I right? That's what's going on then?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Is the game, which is not even associated with the movie, with the exception of the source material being
Right.
people in the world swinging giant weapons at giant monsters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so unfortunately, Capcom and Monster Hunter World, which I will go on record as saying is a fantastic game, and if you
Yes.
haven't played it, you absolutely should.
Absolutely.
But
I didn't know
this
you had that
company
game.
and this game is now getting a bad rap.
Well, I mean, it's not the first time that like a game has gotten review bombed for something that's tangentially related, though. I mean, I can't think of any specific off the top of my head, but I mean, I remember hearing about situations similar to that. Actually, not too long ago. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to remember what it was.
I think it happens at least once a year.
Oh,
Sometimes
sure.
it makes bigger news than some games make bigger news than others. Some instances make bigger news than others.
Right.
But I'm kind of like you as far as this movie itself goes. I have very low expectations going into it. This is another Mia Jovovich, Paul W.S. Anderson schlockfest. And I was thinking about this the other day. Paul W.S. Anderson is the 2000s American version of Uwe Boll, if you remember him from
we don't
back in our youth.
We don't mention that name here.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know who he is, go look up some fantastic films such as the Blood Rain movies.
Those are good games. I mean,
well, yes, most of the stuff that he based his material on was good games, but he managed to make the movies that were just utter crap. And unfortunately, that created a stigma in at least our generation for years.
Oh, dude,
that video game movies were terrible. I mean, up until Sonic the Hedgehog, Rampage
really good.
was the highest rated video game movie.
See, like Rampage, I never saw, but bad video game movies go even before that. Do we want to talk about Mario Brothers?
You mean that movie that the producers lied about what it was that they were making and told everyone that it was a Mario movie?
I mean, it had two guys in it who were Mario Brothers, but that, yeah.
It had Mario and Luigi Mario.
It's like, well, I mean, I guess, for them to be the Mario Brothers, their last name should be Mario, but it was a horrible joke to begin with. I mean, the whole movie was a horrible joke.
Right. Here's a little factoid for you. You may or may not know.
Oh, what do you got?
When the gentleman who played Bowser,
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper, yes, thank you.
Which, I mean, they had so many like big name people in that too. But sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. So Dennis Hopper's kid saw the movie.
Oh God.
And asked him, Dad, why would you agree to do this movie? And Dennis Hopper apparently looked at him and said, because you needed new shoes.
I mean, sometimes you do stuff like that for the money.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of even chilling yourself out there.
Well, even Clooney, like years later, was asked about his role as Batman, and he said, they're like, that was one of the worst Batman films ever. Why did you do it? And he said, I don't regret doing it. It was, I'm paraphrasing. We said, I don't regret doing it because doing that taught me that you don't always want to do things just for the money. And it's like, that's, wise words. But the fact that it happened, the movie still happened.
Right. Yeah, and kind of while we're on the topic of movies, actually, did you see the whole shebang with Warner Brothers and HBO announcing that their 2020 lineup will be also released to HBO Max, not just in theaters?
I did. I mean, especially with to bring up a topic that everybody knows is going on with the pandemic going on right now. I think it's a smart move for that But at the same time, not even considering the pandemic, I think it's a smart move in general. Because while there are some movies that I will go to the theater, buy the giant tub of overpriced popcorn, same with the soda, snacks, a whole 9 yards, and go in and sit in a movie and enjoy it with a crowd of people. There's some movies where it's like, I would just much rather pay a lower fee to see it at home the one time I'm ever going to watch it, just to see what it's about. Because I mean, there's some movies, like Monster Hunter. I don't know if that's a WB production or not. I don't believe so. It might be. I don't know. But anyway, that's a movie that I would be more than happy to pay 10, $20, whatever, to watch it once at home because I'm going into it with no expectations. So I mean, like digital movie distribution in general has really come a lot, especially over this last year. I mean, there's been a ton of films that have foregone their theater experience, mostly because most theaters are still closed or were closed because they still wanted to get the money out and at least get some revenue for it. And I think that a lot of those movie production companies are realizing that people will still pay to see movies in the comfort of their own home. Theaters aren't necessarily a thing you have to do anymore. And I think more and more movie production companies are starting to realize that. So I think Warner Brothers is going to be the first of many that will continue that trend, myself, I think.
Well, I mean, if you want to continue, if you really want to take it back to those trends, I think the earlier example would be Disney's release of Mulan, which it released on its Disney Plus service.
Yep.
It never went to, as far as I remember, it never went to theaters.
Yeah, I don't think it did.
I believe it cost $20 or something like that for
it was
initial rentals.
It was either 20 or 30, which I mean that caused a lot of bad feelings from people because like, well, I already have Disney Plus. Why am I having to pay this extra fee to get that movie, separate from what I'm already paying for? But at the same time, I understand why. It was a new movie. They were trying something new because it couldn't get if it did get a theatrical release, it was incredibly limited. But I think you're right. I don't think it did get a release at all. So I mean, they were trying something different. It didn't work out the same. It didn't work out the way they wanted it to. Um, but I mean, again, it's new territory for people. I mean, some movie companies, won't even put out the digital release until a week or two before you can get it, on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever format you're watching it on. So I mean, it's new, completely foregoing that movie theater experience and directly releasing it.
So I guess that leads me to a question, Tim. What do you think about the future of movie theaters?
It's it's hard to say because I mean, taking everything into account this year, obviously a lot of movie theaters are suffering. There's a lot of not none of the talking would be great if I could do it today. A lot of the maybe non-corporate theaters, like if there's still any privately owned ones, a lot of those are probably hurting a lot more than the corporate ones. The corporate ones, they have sponsorships, they have marketing that they get paid for, stuff like that. They've got money in the bank, but they're still suffering this year. It wouldn't surprise me, especially with WB making that announcement, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot more movie production companies started off doing all right, well, we're going to release it for home purchase the day it's out in theaters, but we're also going to have a theater version, and then possibly down the road just foregoing the theater distribution and going just direct to consumers. Because I mean, at that point, they wouldn't have to pay to market their movie in the theaters. They wouldn't have to, negotiate deals with, okay, well, if somebody's seeing this, these movies, we get, X percentage of your concession sales. We don't get X percentage of this. It's just cut out the middleman, and then pretty much all they'd have to negotiate if they put it out like Disney. If they put it out on Disney Plus, there's no middleman. They own that service. They would get 100% of the profits from that. Versus if, like, let's say Disney, for whatever reason, decided, well, hey, YouTube, because I know you can buy movies on YouTube. We want to put our movie on here. They'd have to negotiate a deal. So it wouldn't surprise me if a lot more movie production companies release the movies directly, and directly through themselves and directly to consumers, without having to negotiate that middleman. Eventually, I don't think theaters are going to go away fully anytime soon, but we're already kind of starting to see that trend.
Yeah, I would agree with that. From my personal perspective, I miss going to a movie theater. I miss the ability to get that giant tub of greasy popcorn and the 74-ounce soda
Yep.
and hate myself after watching the movie. But it's an experience that
Oh yeah.
you and I have grown up with in America, where we go to the movies with our friends, we go to the movies with our loved ones, our spouses, we go to the movies by ourselves. I've done that I don't know how many times in my life. We just go for the sake of going to a movie. There's just something about that experience, especially when you can go in and get a big IMAX screen and you're sitting there with your head craned back, and the booming reverberation of the surround sound and in-depth experience of it. I think the last movie that I actually saw in theaters
Mm-hmm.
was Avengers Endgame. And I think I saw it probably 2, maybe 3 times in theaters. And
Now did you and I go see Endgame together, or was it Infinity War? Because I know one of them we went together for.
I think it was Infinity War, because I don't remember seeing Endgame with you.
Okay. So yeah, I knew it was
Yeah,
one of the two. For me, I think the last one I saw in theaters. I have to think here because it has been a long time now. I mean, it's been 20 years since 2020 started. Uh, I think I saw Spider-Man: Far From Home. I think was the last one I went and saw in theater. I think.
mm. Did you see? I thought you went and saw Sonic the Hedgehog.
Did that come out before or after that? Was it after?
Think it was after.
Okay,
I
then
think Far From Home was last year, but so I think.
because I know Sonic came out for home purchase like the beginning of this year. Yeah, okay, it was late last in the before times, late last year, before everything got really bad. So okay, so yeah, Sonic was the last movie I saw in theaters.
Yeah.
But I mean, no,
Oh,
I do agree with you. I mean, one of my favorite parts of seeing a movie in a theater, like I'm weird. I don't go to theaters by myself. I don't know why. I'm weird, but I think a lot of it is my favorite part of seeing a movie in a theater is when you get back out, you get away from the crowd so you're not spoiling the movie for the people that are watching it next, and going, holy crap, what did you think about this part? Can you believe that happened? Or, oh my god, do you remember this? And just like the whole car ride home, talking with whoever you went with about like sharing what you thought about the movie. That's my favorite part is the discussion afterwards. Because you're still hyped up because you just got out of the theater, and like you said, it's an experience. And I mean, going back to my earlier point, I don't think we're going to see theaters going away anytime soon. But if they do, I think that's going to be a loss. Because while there is that convenience of if movies get released directly to consumers, you don't have to drive to the theater. You don't have to spend the money on the popcorn and all that. That is part of the experience. I mean, it's been forever now that people have gone to movies, done those exact same things I just talked about, and left with a smile on their face. Even a bad movie, you still have something to talk about.
yeah, no, I agree. One of the things that I think about as well, though, is, and this is something that my brother and I do, we have made a tradition of doing this, is we are now doing watch parties on some of these different streaming services. So Disney Plus, Hulu, I think Netflix even allows you to do watch parties.
See, that's
For those
something
of
I
you who
haven't
are,
tried yet.
Right, for those of you who are not in the know, watch party basically it's a small group thing where other people with service subscriptions. So you can't just invite any Tom, Dick, Sally, or your cousin Ned who lives out in the sticks that doesn't have these kind of services to come watch with you. So Tim has Disney Plus, I have Disney Plus. If we wanted to on a Friday, we could start a watch party and watch the latest episode of Mandalorian together. And that's actually what my brother and I have been doing. Is on Fridays in the evenings. He and I will start a watch party, and we'll watch the episode of Mandalorian together. What the watch party does is basically it just syncs the video between the two of us, so we're watching it at the same time. He's off living in BFE nowhere. I'm here, and we're watching the video at the same time. And while, again, we kind of lose that experience of being able to go, oh my god, did you see that part? Pretty much as soon as the thing ends, he and I call each other, and then we spend the next hour geeking out about whatever it was that we just watched. This last episode of The Mandalorian, not to spoil anything for anybody, was amazeballs, and
Yes, it was.
we spent the next hour, on the phone just geeking out and enjoying our splooshtastic little session about the latest episode of The Mandalorian.
Well, hell, I mean, like even you and I, like I texted you and said, hey, have you watched it yet? And then you replied, and it turned into like an hour and a half of you and I going, "What did you think of this? Oh my God, I can't believe that happened!" And then last week's episode, we went on for a couple hours about crackpot theories about, well, if this is happening, then what does that mean for this? And I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's that experience of sharing, your thoughts and critique of what you just saw with somebody else. I mean, while a watch party, and I mean, I don't know because again, I haven't tried them yet. You said it syncs up the video. Is there any kind of like voice communication, like on-screen messaging, anything like that, so you can share thoughts in real time, or is it just syncs up the video and the communication's up to you?
Yeah, it's nothing like having like on-screen communication. It's nothing like a streaming platform,
Okay.
like Twitch or something along those lines. Which Twitch, if you're hearing this, kick me a few bucks for plugging you.
we'll,
It's nothing
we'll take
like
any
it's nothing
sponsorship.
like right. It's nothing like having that. They don't have like in-app chat or voice or stuff like that. So the first time my brother and I did it, I sent him the link for the watch party, and we got on Discord chat or Discord call,
Oh,
and
okay.
sat there and we kind of talked back and forth while we watched the thing in real time. So I mean, the communication is up to you. Is the short answer.
Okay. Well, I mean, still, the fact that you can still set that up to kind of emulate that theater style experience, being stuck at home, uh, that is pretty neat. I mean, you're the IT guy here, but I mean, I don't imagine like if these streaming companies see that the stream party thing is taking off and more people are using it. I mean, it wouldn't be far fetched to imagine that they might put in some kind of like on screen like you know chat type option or voice options or kind of enhancing that social aspect of it even more.
Yeah, it really kind of depends on where you want to do the watch party from. So like obviously doing it through a computer makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
You have a keyboard in front of you. You got I'm on a headset right now. I think you've got a boom mic in front of you.
Yep.
That kind of communication is very easy to do. My brother and I think he was actually watching it on his phone, but I was watching it on my Xbox.
Mhm.
So that communication becomes a little bit harder at that point because especially we're on two different platforms.
Right.
There, you kind of have to figure out how best to do that, especially on something like an Xbox, or if you have you've got a controller in your hand, it makes real time chat a little harder. Although I think now
Right.
Xboxes do support physical keyboards, so you could
They
do
do.
that
Yep.
too.
Well, I mean that's true. I mean, like if especially like on a game console. I mean, most people if they in this day and age, most people if they have some of the newer consoles, most people are online. Most people, because of that, have headsets. It wouldn't be too hard, like, all right, hey, Xbox players, PlayStation players, Switch players. I mean, their voice chat's a little. That's a whole other story. But anyway, it wouldn't be too hard, like if you're on the same platform to set something like that up. But I mean, I think it would ultimately boil down to if these streaming services see that there's one, enough usage of that feature to even merit adding on some kind of chat function to it, and is there even a demand for it? Because even though there's people using that feature or using the stream party thing, there may not be enough of a demand for chat. Like you said, you and your brother already have a way that you do it. Is there? I mean, would it be worth the development time to implement that feature? Would enough people use it? You know?
And it's a good question. It's one that I certainly don't have the answer to. We'd have to see how things go. I don't think a lot of these companies really advertise these watch party things
Right.
when they first started off. Because, I mean, I just happened to be browsing Hulu on the web one day and I saw there was a little button for a watch party and went, huh, that's neat. And then I saw it show up in Disney Plus and went, huh, that's neat. And Mando is a perfect opportunity for me to do that because my brother's just as nerdy as you and I are. So
Right. Very much
you
so.
know, he and I like to watch that, and I think you generally check it out earlier in the day. It's a little bit harder for me with kids, work, and everything else. So sometimes it just doesn't work out that I don't get to see it until like the end of the night.
Right. And like I usually try to watch it on Friday just because, especially with these last two episodes, I've been horribly impatient on wanting to know what's going to happen next. But I mean, there's some times where I won't be able to watch it for several days afterwards, and even my daughter, she has really taken to the show. Like she knows that it comes out on Fridays now, and she's like hey Dad, do we have time to watch it? And if we do, you bet your ass I put it on.
Well, as you do,
Right.
as every good father should do, sharing and proliferating their nerdy habits with their kids.
Oh yeah.
I myself, introduced my kids to Star Wars many years ago and never looked back. It's one of their favorite things in the world. My kids love playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the Xbox. They have a blast playing that game.
Oh yeah. I remember last time when I was actually able to get down there. I remember your son was showing me all about it.
Oh yeah.
So, but all right. Well, I think we got a good amount of talking done today. I mean, we kind of introduced people to ourselves, shared some of our thoughts on movies. So I think we'll probably go ahead and cap it off right there for now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is probably a good place to end it for today. Next week, we're going to have much of the same thing. Probably wind up landing on a topic, having 20 non sequiturs. Hence the title.
Of
hint, hint. And we'll have a fun time doing it. So, with that, thank you, folks, for listening. We appreciate you, and we hope you stay safe and stay warm out there wherever you are, or stay cool if you're not in winter right now.
Oh, winter. Ugh. All right, yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch y'all next time.